Welcome to this SnapEd New York video presentation.
Hi, I'm Caitlin, SnapEd educator with Cornell Cooperative Extension, and today I'll be showing you how to make kale with nuts and raisins. If you're looking for a low-salt side dish, this is it. Add it next to your morning eggs or afternoon sandwich for an extra serving of fruits and vegetables without an extra serving of sodium. While sodium is an essential nutrient, we only need less than 2,300 milligrams a day. That's equal to only 1 teaspoon of salt. So it might not surprise you that most of us actually get more than we need. Why is that? It's mainly because packaged, processed, and canned foods are loaded with sodium. That includes canned soups, frozen dinners, packaged snacks like chips, and especially fast food items. Sodium is added to so many foods before you even buy them, and all this extra sodium can lead to high blood pressure. So here are some ways to keep your intake low. 1, look at the nutrition facts label to find low sodium options. 2, cook more at home. And 3, add more fruits and vegetables into your day because these tend to be naturally low in sodium. Now, you might be thinking without sodium or salt, food tends to be bland with no flavor, but combining different food groups into one dish can make it more flavorful and more nutritious. This recipe, kale with nuts and raisins, is a good example of this. You will need 1 cup of kale. This leafy vegetable has a strong earthy taste that might seem bitter when raw, but cooking will definitely help with that. We'll also need a 1/4 cup of nuts. So nuts actually fall in the protein group and they'll add a nice crunch. Each nut has its own distinct flavor, so choose one that you prefer, but try and find a low salt option. Today, I'll be using plain walnuts. And to naturally add some sweetness, we'll be adding 1/2 cup of raisins, which falls under the fruit group. Now, these key ingredients already add some unique flavors. You can also add some flavor with using spices and herbs. This recipe calls for 2 cloves of chopped garlic, but today I'll be using a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder instead. We'll also need 2 tablespoons of oil for our pan, and finally, this recipe does include salt, but it says it's optional. The garlic already adds a great flavor to this dish, but if you wanted a bit more, maybe experiment with some different spice combinations till you find one you like. Now before we start cooking, always wash your hands with warm water and soap for at least 20 seconds. We'll also need to rinse our kale. Dirt can easily get stuck in its curly leaves, so just be sure to gently rub the leaves and the stems until it's clean. Don't use any soaps or detergents on your vegetables because we don't want to accidentally ingest these. Once you're done, pat it dry with a clean paper towel and we're ready to get started. Unlike spinach, kale is a bit tougher and harder to cook. That's why most recipes ask you to remove the stems. You can do this with a knife or just rip them off with your hands. With the stems removed, we need our kale chopped into smaller pieces. I'm not worried about looks with this recipe, so I'll be leaving the knife in the drawer and using my hands to tear them into even pieces. You can also use a clean pair of scissors. We'll be saving these into a bowl until they're ready to cook later. For our nuts, you can buy them chopped, but buying whole walnut halves actually costs me less. You can easily chop them yourself with a knife, toss them in a blender, or place them in a bag and crush them with a roller. I decided to use the last option. The recipe suggests to bake these in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for at least 5 minutes. If you don't have an oven or just don't want to turn it on, you can toast them in a pan on medium heat while stirring occasionally. Like I said before, nuts are a great source of protein. You can get a 1-ounce serving of protein with only 7 walnut halves. But unlike animal sources of protein, nuts will have the added bonus of extra fiber, which can benefit your heart health. It's important to have a variety of protein sources, whether it be meat, seafood, eggs, beans, or nuts and seeds, to get the range of nutrients each one provides. Once they're toasted to your liking, put them aside for later. Next, we'll be cooking our kale. Heat 2 tablespoons of oil in the frying pan on medium heat. Then add the garlic and kale and cook for 4 minutes. If you want to make your kale a bit crispy instead of limp and soggy, I find that the kale cooks better when it's spread out into a single layer and not overlapping. So if you have a small frying pan, you might want to cook your kale in batches instead of all at once. The next step is to add the raisins and the nuts. We'll be cooking this for 1 minute or more so the flavors can meld together. Once done, let them cool for a few seconds and enjoy. And there you have it, kale with nuts and raisins. As with most of our recipes, this one is also fairly inexpensive. The nuts will probably cost you the most, but to save money, try and figure out which nut and seed you prefer and brainstorm some different ways you can incorporate them into other dishes, whether that be banana nut bread or in a salad. Then buy it on sale or in bulk, because that might save you a few dollars per ounce or per pound. The same goes with your other ingredients. Kale is super versatile. You can also add it into a salad or maybe a soup. And your raisins or any dried fruit are really great as a quick snack in trail mix or even in cereal. Eating healthy can be affordable when you're creative with the ingredients that you already have. Whether you're adding your fruits and vegetables to this dish, kale with nuts and raisins, or another way, I hope you enjoy it and thank you for joining me. And remember, small changes can make a big difference, so where else can you cut back on sodium?
It starts with just one small change, and we are here to help. Thank you for joining us today. We know the healthy choice isn't always the easiest choice, but small changes can make a big difference. Start today by getting involved with SNAP-Ed New York. The program is free for those who qualify or receive SNAP benefits. We want to help you save time, save money, and eat healthy. Learn how SNAP-Ed can make a difference in your life. For more information and to find your local program, visit snapedny.org. This material was funded by USDA's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP. This institution is an equal opportunity provider.